All right, today we are diving into something called Project Opaque. It's a really fascinating project designed to tackle a huge question. How do you get crucial financial advice to the people who need it the most, but have the least access to the internet? So let's see where this whole idea came from.
So the whole thing kicked off right here as part of the Innovate4FinLit game challenge. Now, the goal wasn't just to build yet another app. It was to create something truly new, a game-based solution for a problem that affects millions and millions of people, especially across rural India.
And that challenge led them to this really powerful question. What if you could harness the most advanced AI tools we have right now, but make them work without needing any internet connection at all? Seriously, what if your phone could become a trusted financial guide, even when it's completely in airplane mode?
To really get why this solution is so clever, first we have to understand just how big of a challenge they were trying to solve. And believe me, this is about way more than just having spotty Wi-Fi.
So here's the thing. It's not just one problem, it's a bunch of them all stacked up. First, you've got millions of people with either no internet or super unstable connections. Then you have to consider literacy levels, which means a typical app full of text just isn't going to cut it. And on top of all that, pretty much every smart financial tool we use today has to connect to the cloud. So the big question was, how on earth do you build something that works around all of that?
So the answer wasn't to just build a better website or a simpler app. No, it was to build an entire world, something that feels intuitive, familiar, and easy to navigate from the get-go.
And this is what the user actually sees, a full-on 3D village right on their phone that you control entirely with your voice. It's built using the Unity game engine, which is super powerful. It basically turns the abstract, kind of scary idea of financial services into a physical place you can actually walk around in. It's designed from the ground up for people who might have never even used a banking app before.
Now this is where it gets really smart. How do you teach complex financial ideas? Well, the app uses something called a farming loop. Instead of throwing around words like investing or return on investment, the user does things they already understand. Sowing a seed in the game is like making an investment. Growing represents that period of patience and risk. And harvesting, well, that's seeing your return. It's a brilliant way to make these complex ideas feel simple and totally tangible.
Okay, so you've got this beautiful 3D world, but what's actually powering the intelligence behind it? That's what the team calls the brain in a box. And honestly, this is the real technological showstopper here.
So think of the app like this. It's built in two main parts. You have the body, that's the 3D village you see and interact with, and then you have the Edge AI core. That's the brain. And the key thing is, this brain isn't sitting in some data center in the cloud. It's a complete, powerful AI system that lives right there on your phone.
So what happens when you actually ask a question? Well, it's this incredibly fast, four-step process that all happens in just a few seconds. First, you speak your question. The system's ears, the automatic speech recognition, turns your voice into text. Then, a system called RAG dives into a built-in library of facts to find the right information. And finally, the large language model, the voice, puts it all together and gives you a simple, helpful answer. And remember, all of this happens locally, on your device.
Let's just quickly break that down. The very first piece, the ASR, is the system's ears. It's been specially trained to understand both Hindi and English. You know, that mix of Hindi and English that so many people speak. This is absolutely critical for making the app easy to use. No typing needed, and most importantly, it works totally offline.
Next up is the RAG system, which is basically a fact checker living in your pocket. And this part is so important. The AI isn't just making things up or guessing. It actually checks its local library, which is preloaded with official information on government financial programs. This makes sure the advice it gives is accurate, trustworthy, and based on facts, not AI hallucinations.
And finally, we have the LLM, which is the voice of the assistant. Now, we're not talking about some massive model running in a server farm. This is a super efficient small language model, only about 2 gigabytes. It's been carefully tuned to speak like a helpful village assistant, using simple language and avoiding all the confusing financial jargon.
This whole on-device approach isn't just an engineering choice, it's a philosophical one. It leads to this really powerful idea that completely changes the relationship you have with your technology.
And this slide just lays out the difference perfectly. With typical cloud AI, you have to be online, your personal data gets sent off to some server, and privacy can be a real issue. But with the sovereign AI model that Project Opaque uses, it's a completely different world. It works offline. All your data stays on your device. That means you have 100% control and total privacy. The whole thing is independent and self-contained. And the team behind this isn't just implying this, they state it very clearly. This is a direct promise from their documentation. All user data, voice recordings, and financial queries remain on the user's device. No data transmission to external servers occurs at any point. It means your data is truly, completely yours.
So, this core principle of keeping all the data on the device, it's called digital sovereignty. And to make that a reality for everybody, well, the engineering had to be incredibly precise and really, really smart.
And get this is the magic number. The entire system, the 3D world, the AI brain, the whole shebang is engineered to run smoothly on affordable mid-range Android phones with just 4 GB of RAM. We're not talking about a $1,000 flagship phone here. This is designed for the phones that people actually have.
And these numbers aren't just hopes, they were hard engineering goals. The team aimed for over 30 frames per second, so the experience is smooth and doesn't lag. It uses less than 500 megabytes of RAM, leaving plenty of room for the rest of your phone to work properly. The app itself is tiny, under 150 megabytes, so it won't eat up all your storage, and it starts up in less than 3 seconds. This just proves it's a practical tool for the real world, not just a cool demo.
So when you put it all together, you realize that Project Opaque is so much more than just a clever offline app. It's really a blueprint. It's a new way of thinking about how we can build technology that's fair, that respects user privacy, and that actually works in the places where it's needed the most. Which really just leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. If this model works for financial advice, making it private, accessible, and completely offline, what other essential services, like, say, healthcare or education, should be next?